The Colony That Fell Silent, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The twin suns of Haven 3 glowed softly over the green oceans and shining metal towers. It was one of the youngest human colonies, full of laughter, trade, and dreams. The people believed their world was safe, far from war, far from the noise of galactic politics. Children ran in the streets, traders shouted near the ports, and miners returned from the deep tunnels with their suits covered in dust. To them, war was only a story. Something that happened to others, not to them. Commander Ellis stood inside the orbital defense station, his eyes watching the calm view of the planet below. He had served in the Terran Navy for 20 years. But this post felt like retirement. There was nothing to guard here except peace still. He never turned off the defense grid completely, a habit born from old wars. The station's crew worked lazily, laughing, playing cards, and sharing food. The radar operator, a young woman named Mia, yawned and stretched her arms. Another quiet day. "Commander," she said with a smile. Ellis nodded slowly. "Quiet days are the ones that worry me the most," he replied. Half joking, half serious, then the quiet changed. The radar beeped once, then twice, then screamed in red light. Mia frowned. Multiple signals detected, unknown transponders. "Coming out of hyperspace?" Ellis straightened, his chair sliding back as the alarms came alive. "Confirm identity," he ordered. "No response, sir." "They're not broadcasting any codes," Mia replied, panic rising in her voice outside. The stars began to ripple as if space itself was bending. Then the ships appeared, dark. Angular shapes emerged one by one, like shadows cutting through the void. Their hulls absorbed the light. No banners, no marks of peace. They were alien, but not any race humanity had known before. Ellis shouted, "Raise shields! Power the defense grid!" But even before the command finished, the first beam hit. The explosion shook the station. The crew fell to the ground. Sparks rained from the ceiling. One screen after another turned black from the planet below. People looked up and saw the sky tear apart. Fiery lines crossed the clouds as energy blasts struck the surface. Cities vanished in white light. Oceans boiled. Towers melted like wax. The screams echoed through every comm channel. Mia tried to send a distress signal. "This is Haven 3 defense. We are under attack. Unknown fleet." Her words broke in static. Ellis grabbed the emergency transmitter. "Earth Command, this is Haven 3. We are..." Another explosion silenced the rest. The control deck turned red. Through the cracked glass of the viewport, Ellis saw something that froze his blood. The alien ships weren't just firing to destroy, they were erasing. Every building, every signature of life, systematically, coldly. They didn't even answer calls for surrender. It was extermination down on the surface. Dr. Alina Wren carried a small boy through the burning streets, the air filled with ash and smoke. She stumbled over rubble, her lungs burning. "Hold on, baby, hold on," she whispered. The boy clutched a small metallic pendant shaped like earth, tears mixing with soot. They reached the shelter entrance, but a bright light fell from the sky. The world exploded in a roar. Alina's scream was lost in fire. The pendant melted into the dust. Minutes later, the planet was silent. The last transmission that escaped Haven 3 was a faint signal, a small child's voice whispering through static, "Please, tell Earth." Before fading away, when the message reached Earth's military command, the room went quiet. Generals, politicians, and scientists froze in disbelief. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Admiral Rhea Carter stood, her face cold as steel. "They think we will beg," she said, her voice low. "They think we will forgive?" Across the dark side of the moon, massive hangars began to open. Old warships long hidden under secret programs came alive again. The engines of the Terran dreadnought Solar Wrath ignited after decades of silence, its hull covered in scars from forgotten wars. The coded orders spread through encrypted channels. Fleets were recalled. Sleeper agents awakened. Black Ops units received one phrase: "Operation Inferno is green." As the orders traveled, the stars began to move. Humanity's wrath stirred beneath the silence. The peaceful colony of Haven 3 was gone, but its ashes would light a fire that no empire could ever extinguish. Commander Ellis's last log, recovered from a broken flight recorder, ended with a single line: "We will not fade quietly into the dark." And somewhere deep in space, the ghosts of Earth's fleets turned their guns toward the void, waiting for the command that would set the stars on fire. Operation Inferno. HFY Sci-Fi Story. Deep beneath the surface of the moon, a steel chamber hummed with energy. Admiral Rhea Carter stood before a giant holographic table glowing with red lines across the stars. Her eyes were cold, focused, unshaken. She had seen war before, but this was different, this was personal. "Confirm fleet status," she ordered, her voice echoing through the command hall. Captain Vega replied sharply. "All divisions reporting green. Ma'am, engines powered, weapons online. Stealth protocols engaged?" The Admiral nodded slowly. "Then it begins." Humanity had never been weak, only quiet after the old galactic wars. Earth had hidden its strongest ships, its darkest weapons, deep under the lunar vaults and in forgotten asteroid bases. They were not decommissioned, only waiting for the day humanity would need to remind the galaxy who they truly were. That day had come, in the black reaches of the solar system. Enormous gates opened. The Terran fleets emerged like ancient beasts awakened from sleep. Ships the size of cities armored with neutron plating, carrying railguns that could pierce moons and cannons that bent magnetic fields themselves. The Solar Wrath led the vanguard, followed by the Titan's Echo. Black Horizon and Valkyrie's Oath, these were not just ships, they were symbols, each carrying the name of a human victory long erased from history by galactic propaganda. "Now reborn, Admiral," Vega said. "Galactic Council channels are filled with noise. They're demanding explanations about Haven 3. They claim it was an accident." Rhea's jaw tightened. "An accident does not burn a planet for 3 hours straight," she replied. "Transmit the final message from Haven 3 to every Council frequency." Moments later, every major world received the same broadcast. Static first, then the trembling child's voice. "Please, tell Earth." The sound echoed across thousands of systems and silence followed. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt guilt, but guilt would not be enough. "Target selection?" Rhea asked. The AI assistant on her command panel flickered to life, its voice calm and neutral. "Primary strike target, Zareth Command Hub, coordinates locked, orbital defenses minimal." She stared at the red marker on the star map. It was the heart of the alien coalition that had destroyed Haven 3. "Launch the fleet," she said quietly. In the darkness of space, hundreds of Terran warships jumped into hyperspace, their signatures hidden, their engines silent, only streaks of blue light marking their path. The fleet's motto, "Silent until fire," appeared on every soldier's visor. On the alien world of Zareth, the night was peaceful. Grand towers reached into the sky. The alien leaders discussed politics and trade. They didn't expect war, not from the humans. They believed Earth would mourn and move on. They believed wrong. The first sign came as the moon shattered. Not cracked, shattered. A massive kinetic slug from the Solar Wrath's orbital railgun hit it at 0.2 light speed. The explosion lit the system brighter than a sun. Fragments rained on the planet below, turning the night sky into falling fire. Panic spread through Zareth cities. Their defense grids tried to activate, but electronic systems failed. Terran AI viruses had already infected their command cores, shutting down every shield and weapon before they could respond. Then came the orbital bombardment. Silent flashes of light crossing the atmosphere. Then thunder followed, energy beams sliced through towers. Rail slugs smashed military bases. Oceans boiled. The ground split open. The capital city turned into a crater of molten glass. From orbit, Admiral Rhea watched the destruction. Her face expressionless, Captain Vega spoke softly. "No survivors detected, Admiral." Rhea closed her eyes for a second. "Then they have learned the cost of their arrogance." Elsewhere, across the galaxy, messages flooded in. Reports from panicked alien governments, fleets abandoning patrols, colonies going dark, markets collapsing. No one dared to approach Earth space. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Voices shouted through the chamber. "They destroyed an entire world. The humans have gone mad. We must contain them." But deep down, every delegate knew there was no containing humanity now. Rhea stood before the Terran fleet's transmission console. Her final words were sent across the galaxy, a message translated into every known language. To those who burned Haven 3, know this: Earth does not forget, we do not forgive, and we do not stop. As her words faded, the fleet disappeared once more into hyperspace, leaving only silence and drifting ash. In that silence, a legend was reborn. The legend of humanity. The species that rose from a dying planet. The species that could turn pain into power, loss into fire, and silence into vengeance. And in the hearts of every Terran soldier, one thought echoed through the stars: this was only the beginning. The galaxy trembles. HFY Sci-Fi story. The destruction of Zareth spread across the galaxy like wildfire. One moment the alien command world had shone as a jewel of pride, and the next it was gone, vaporized by human wrath. Entire fleets halted mid-travel. Transmissions flooded the networks. No one could believe what they had seen. On the council worlds, panic turned into chaos. Ministers shouted. Fleets were recalled and entire sectors went silent. The same question echoed across every alien broadcast. How did the humans do this? In deep space, the Terran fleet remained unseen. Moving between dark systems and uncharted wormholes, Admiral Rhea Carter sat inside the command chamber of the Solar Wrath. The light of burning worlds reflected on her face, but her eyes showed no joy, only purpose. Status of Operation Inferno. Captain Vega, she asked. Vega replied, 73% complete. Ma'am, secondary strike successful. Enemy communications crippled. Trade routes collapsing. Rhea nodded. Good. Then let the galaxy breathe fear for a while. Back on Earth, the mood was different. News channels showed images of Haven 3 before it fell. Families holding each other. Faces full of grief and pride. Humanity didn't cheer for war, they mourned, but they also remembered. In the ruins of the old Terran parliament, a new voice rose. President Lyra Holt addressed the world through every screen. Her tone calm but strong. They burned our children, she said. They thought distance would protect them. But the fire they started will reach every corner of their empire. We will not conquer. We will correct. Her words echoed across the colonies. Every citizen, every miner, every pilot whispered the same phrase. We will correct. The aliens watched the transmission, too, and the phrase spread like a storm through their networks. The galaxy had never seen humans united like this before. They had always been divided. Now they moved as one far away on the edge of the Orion Rift. A small alien patrol fleet detected strange movements. Unidentified contacts, the officer said nervously. But before the captain could respond, the stars around them flickered. 3 Terran stealth destroyers decloaked. Their hulls black as night. Without a word they fired. Energy lances cut through the alien ships like paper. The aliens tried to surrender, but the humans didn't answer. They simply vanished again, leaving behind floating wrecks and silence. The survivors began to tell stories. They called the Terran fleet the Ghosts of Fire, ships that appeared out of nowhere, burned everything, and disappeared before anyone could react. On the capital world of the Council, the alien leaders met again. The chamber was filled with fear. We must form a united front, shouted one. No, we must apologize, cried another. Send envoys. Offer reparations. But then a cold voice came from the shadows. Do you think they will listen to words? It was Elder Vrax, one of the oldest members of the Council, his gray scales shimmering under the lights. Humans do not destroy for power. They destroy for memory, he said quietly. Every time they lose something they love, they make the universe pay. The chamber fell silent. Back aboard the Solar Wrath, Rhea Carter stood near the viewport. Watching the stars, she spoke softly to Vega. They think this is revenge, but it's not. Vega frowned. Then what is it, Admiral? She turned toward him, her voice steady. It's a reminder, to them and to us, of what happens when you forget what humanity is capable of. On a far mining colony, an alien worker found an old Terran helmet half buried in ash. On it was scratched a single word. Remember. He looked at the stars and trembled everywhere across the galaxy. That word began to appear, carved into derelict ships, burned into ground ruins, written in the smoke of destroyed fleets. It became a whisper in every alien mind, remember. The galaxy that once laughed at humanity's weakness now trembled at their silence. Entire empires reevaluated their armies. Alliances formed out of fear. And every general repeated the same warning. Do not wake Earth again. But deep within Terran command, Rhea's council was already planning the next phase. Operation Inferno was not over. The next strike would not just destroy, it would expose the truth behind Haven 3, the hidden alien hands that had ordered the attack. Admiral, said Vega quietly, when do we stop? Rhea's eyes hardened. When the galaxy understands what mercy costs. Outside, the Terran fleet drifted among the stars. Their engines dimmed, their guns cooling. Humanity had made its point, but the fire was far from finished. Because somewhere in the dark between galaxies, a new enemy watched, silent, patient, waiting for humanity to burn itself out. They didn't yet understand that humans never burn out. They burn brighter. The hidden hand, HFY Sci-Fi story weeks passed since the fall of Zareth. The galaxy remained quiet. Too quiet. Every major power had pulled their fleets back. No one dared to challenge Earth, yet beneath that silence, something moved, something ancient, unseen, and patient. Admiral Rhea Carter stood in the dim light of the Solar Wrath strategy room. Maps floated before her, red dots blinking on the edges of known space. Captain Vega entered, carrying a data pad. "We found something, ma'am," he said. "Something buried deep." Rhea turned slowly. "Go on," she said. Vega placed the pad on the table. A projection flickered to life, showing encrypted transmissions traced from the Zareth fleet before they attacked Haven 3. "These orders didn't come from their command council," he explained. "They came from coordinates far beyond their borders, unknown space." "Unknown?" Rhea repeated, her eyes narrowing. "Not anymore," Vega said, and the projection zoomed out, revealing a cluster of stars hidden by artificial distortion fields. "The signal originates from here, ma'am, a dead zone." Rhea stared at the coordinates, silent for a moment, then spoke softly. "So, someone wanted the Zareth to attack us, someone hiding behind the curtain." Vega nodded. "And they made sure both sides would bleed. Across the galaxy. The Terran intelligence network, known only as the Black Archive, came alive. Agents hidden for decades started sending reports. Encrypted signals flickered from asteroid bases and derelict freighters. They all told the same story. A secret faction known as the Architects. An ancient alien order said to manipulate galactic wars for profit and control. They had sold the coordinates of Haven 3, provided Zareth weapons, and erased all traces of their involvement. "They built the war," Rhea whispered. "And they watched from the dark." She clenched her fists, her voice low but full of iron. "Then we'll drag them into the light." The Terran fleet changed course, moving beyond charted space, engines roaring silently as hyperspace lanes bent to their will. The Solar Wrath led the way, its hull glowing faint blue as it entered the shadow zone. No light reached this region. The stars themselves seemed swallowed by something unnatural. Scanners failed, navigation drifted, yet the humans kept moving. Guided by coordinates taken from the encrypted files, suddenly, the fleet emerged into an enormous field of derelict stations and broken worlds, the remains of civilizations long dead, and in the center of it all floated a structure the size of a moon, black, smooth, and alive with faint pulses of crimson light. "That's it," Vega whispered. "The Architect's Citadel." Rhea watched the structure, her heart cold. "Prepare the ghost teams," she ordered. "We're going in." Inside the Citadel, no life signs were detected, yet the air seemed to breathe. The Terran Marines moved silently through vast halls made of living metal, their boots echoing softly. Ancient machines hummed beneath the floors. Corporal Juno stopped suddenly, pointing her scanner toward a chamber. "Admiral, we found something," she said through comms. Inside the chamber floated hundreds of glass pods, each containing a different alien species, leaders, scientists, soldiers, all preserved in suspended animation. Vega frowned. "Are they prisoners?" Juno shook her head. "No, sir, they're trophies." Rhea stepped closer to one of the pods, her reflection glowing in the glass. "They've been doing this for centuries," she murmured, "creating wars, collecting survivors, studying them like insects." A sudden pulse shook the floor. Lights turned red. The Citadel came alive. Massive cables moved like serpents along the walls, and a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Not through speakers, but inside their minds. "Children of Earth, you should have stayed silent." The soldiers froze. Rhea's eyes hardened. "Identify yourself," she demanded, her voice steady. "We are the balance," the voice replied. "We guide chaos so the weak may be culled. Your defiance threatens the pattern." Rhea drew her sidearm and pointed it at the core. "Your pattern ended when you touched Haven 3, she said coldly. The Citadel's walls began to split, revealing massive weapon arrays powering up. The floor beneath them trembled. Vega shouted, "Admiral, it's charging." Rhea didn't hesitate. "All units, fall back. Prepare orbital bombardment." As the Terran fleet pulled away, the Solar Wrath locked its main railgun on the Citadel. "Target locked," the weapons officer said. "Fire," Rhea commanded. The projectile struck the Citadel's core, and for a moment nothing happened. Then a blinding wave of blue-white energy erupted outward, ripping through the debris field, tearing open space itself. The shockwave threw the ships off course, but they survived. When the light faded, the Citadel was gone, replaced by a swirling rift of energy, silent and deep. Vega stared at the scanners. "It's still there, ma'am, just not in this dimension." he said softly. Rhea turned away from the viewport, her voice cold. Then we will follow. The Terran fleet began preparing a new type of engine, one that would allow them to enter the dimensional rift. Operation Inferno had changed. It was no longer about revenge, it was about revelation, about ending the architects once and for all. And across the galaxy, whispers spread again, whispers that made empires tremble. The humans are going beyond the stars now. Even the void isn't safe from them. Into the rift, HFY Sci-Fi story. The galaxy held its breath. The Terran fleet floated at the edge of the rift, a swirling ocean of light and shadow that twisted space itself. No one knew what waited inside, not even the machines that guided them. But humanity had never been afraid of the unknown. Admiral Rhea Carter stood on the bridge of the Solar Wrath, her hands clasped behind her back, the glow of the rift reflecting in her eyes. Engage the rift drive, she said. The crew obeyed, engines roared softly, and one by one the ships vanished into the storm. Inside the rift, space had no shape. Colors moved like living fire. Time bent and folded, sensors screamed. But the Terran fleet pushed through, guided by instinct and will. Through the chaos, Vega whispered, "This place feels alive." Rhea nodded slowly. Because it is. Suddenly, light flared ahead, forming colossal structures made of shifting crystal and shadow. Entire planets floating inside the rift, each one glowing with imprisoned souls, millions of them. The forgotten victims of the architects' wars. The fleet's scanners translated the impossible. These are the cores of every conflict, Vega said. Each world here powers their system. Rhea's voice hardened. Then we'll shut it down. As the Solar Wrath approached, a voice filled the void again, cold and infinite. You cannot end us, human. We exist in every war, every fear, every empire that rises and falls. Rhea looked straight into the swirling light. Then we'll end fear itself, she said. Energy beams erupted from the architect citadels. Entire worlds fired at once. The Terran fleet responded in unison. Railguns thundered. Plasma lances cut through dimensions. Explosions echoed in silence. It was not a battle. It was creation itself tearing apart. One Terran destroyer was torn in half. Another vanished into the storm. Yet the humans fought on, adapting with every second, learning the rhythm of the rift, turning chaos into strategy. Every loss became a weapon. Every mistake became data. Rhea watched the tactical map flicker. Redirect power from the shields, she ordered. Vega looked stunned. Ma'am, that will leave us exposed. Rhea smiled faintly. Not exposed, visible. The Solar Wrath dimmed, its light fading. The enemy focused on it instantly. At that exact moment, hundreds of smaller Terran drones launched from hidden bays, carrying graviton warheads. They dove into the heart of the rift structure. Detonating in silent bursts of blue light, the architects screamed through the void. Their cities collapsing. The fleet was burning. But so was the enemy. Vega shouted, "Rift stability failing, Admiral." Rhea steadied herself. Then we finish this. She walked to the console, entered a final command code, and whispered. For Haven 3, the Solar Wrath's main reactor went critical, channeling its energy into the rift itself, turning it inside out. A burst of pure white consumed everything, light brighter than any star. And then silence. When the light faded, the Terran fleet emerged from hyperspace back into normal stars, battered, scarred, but alive behind them. The rift was gone, closed forever. The architects were no more. The galaxy looked upon the returning fleet in awe. Millions watched as their ships re-entered known space, broken yet victorious for the first time in recorded history. The cycle of war had been broken not by diplomacy, not by surrender, but by human defiance. Admiral Rhea Carter stood once again before her crew, her uniform torn, her face covered with ash. Vega asked softly, "What now, Admiral?" She looked at the endless stars beyond the viewport and answered, "Now. We rebuild, but they will remember. Back on Earth, bells rang across every city. Candles burned in every home for the fallen, and in the night sky, the returning fleet shone like a new constellation. The people called it the Wrath of Haven, and far beyond, where the architects once ruled, the echo of a human voice still drifted through the remnants of the void, whispering across time and space. We were born from chaos, shaped by loss, and tempered by fire. We are humanity, and the stars themselves will remember our name.